Today on the Broadway Shuffle, Texas Tech falls in their Big 12 home opener to Central Florida. And is the football team done in the transfer portal? That and much more next on the Broadway Shuffle. Welcome to episode 40 of the Broadway Shuffle with Clayton, Conrad, and Zyler. I'm Brennan. We hope all of you had a happy new year and are recovering as needed. We are recording this on New Year's Eve, so we are just kind of reacting live. The basketball game just finished up about an hour ago, and we are here to react live to that. And we are also going to get into some portal potential additions later in the show. But first, we would like you to see all of our content. To do that, you need to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and follow us on our social medias at the Broadway Shuffle. Whether you're listening on Spotify or Apple, we'd love for you to come see our handsome faces on YouTube as well. Zyler's always kicking it with a backwards hat and the beautiful kitchen blinds behind him. So you can only see that if you watch us on YouTube. And to do that, you need to like this video and subscribe to our channel. So we look forward to seeing you in the comments below as well. Okay, Clayton, Conrad, Zyler, hope you guys are excited for the new year. But Z, you were at the basketball game. Give us your initial reaction to the loss to Central Florida and what you kind of make of the basketball team now that you've seen them against Big 12 competition.
Yeah, tough. I still think you have a good team. I do want to say that, but man, you could not stop UCF in the second half, specifically the first 10 minutes. Keyshawn Hall, or whatever his name was absolutely lighting you up, and he was hitting tough shots. He was hitting from outside. He was hitting fadeaways. I mean, he was absolutely cooking you. And then Darius Johnson kind of took over as the game ended. He hit that really long three to put them kind of at arm's length, and then he was clutch from the free throw line. He hit all, I think, or he hit five of six, something like that. But man, really frustrating. That's one you got to win if you want to contend in the Big 12. I don't think that. I mean, it's one game. You know, you could reel off 19 in a row, and obviously you'll win the Big 12 if you do that. But frustrating. Defensively, you've still got some stuff to figure out. I thought you had looked a little bit better in your last two games, but clearly there's still a lot of work to be done there.
What was it like in the USA? I mean, I know students are on break, so the student section was obviously a little less than usual, but it seemed like the energy really picked up there in the second half.
Yeah. Okay. One weird thing, the ticketing, like where people got in at the gates, it was taking a long time at some of them to get people in. Like they were massive lines. Like I showed up 30 minutes before this game and it wasn't sold out, and line was all the way down the stairs. And that was just general admission stuff. So it took a while for everybody to filter in, but overall a good environment for a 1:00 game on New Year's Eve. I thought it was fine. Student turnout last 2 years has been a little bit disappointing to me. I'm never going to get upset for kids not coming over break, but hopefully that's something that gets fixed and kind of gets turned around. But it was a fun atmosphere, especially, you know, kind of the last 8 minutes of the game. It was a lot of fun. You felt like the crowd really helped you a lot. Not a bad environment, not the best one I've been in, but definitely not a bad one.
Yeah, Clay, initial reaction. I mean, you know, the defense has kind of been a point of emphasis so far this year. And you've had teams now, St. Joe's had a guy just get hot and cook you. You know, really in all of your losses, you've kind of had guys just and teams shoot very well, especially from behind the arc. Is this something that you are now more concerned about going into the rest of Big 12 play? Or is it kind of something you chalk up as just some dudes that typically don't shoot 50% from the field just happen to do that against you in 3 instances?
Yeah, I feel like I'm definitely concerned about it. Like when it happens this often, it's definitely more than just luck, but I do also attribute some of it to just sheer shooting luck. And I don't know why it keeps happening to us, but like the tall guy, Dom or whatever, going 2 of 3 is nuts. I mean, the bank was not close. The air ball was not close. And then he swishes one. It's like that's in the scouting report to leave him open, let him shoot. That would be like them letting Federico shoot. And then, yeah, the other guy going 4 of 4, you know, there was some open shots in there, but he's a 25% shooter. Like, you know, even NBA players, if you leave them open, they're not going to go 100%. So I do think some of it is just sheer shooting luck, but at the same time, like if it keeps happening, you know, there's got to be something that we're doing that's contributing to that as well.
Yeah. Conrad, do you feel like this team has a physicality issue now that you've seen them play 12 games? Because to me, watching that game, it seemed like UCF, not only did they get hot from outside and just beat you, but they looked more physical than you, especially in the paint. Their guards attacking. I think they capitalized on Christian Anderson, Elijah Hawkins a little bit. and their pick and roll defense, especially once Johnson was able to get into the paint. Is the physicality a concern for you moving into the Big 12?
For me, not yet. I can see why you'd make that argument, but I need to see more from this team against Big 12 competition, because there really are, in a sense, two seasons, pre-conference play and when conference play begins, because it's two different levels of competition in a sense. You know, you play schools like Lamar or Duquesne or Bethune-Cookman, and then you play UCF.
Duquesne.
You know, it's totally different, but I think that's completely warranted. And, you know, after, you know, the next two games against BYU and Utah, I think if you haven't shown some more willingness to be physical and play some better defense, especially down low, you definitely have that to consider. So I don't know, would you agree with that, or do you think that there is a physicality issue at this point in the year?
I don't think so as much with Toppin, and I think Federico Squared did a pretty decent job. You know, I mean, he obviously had the great game against Oral Roberts. I thought that he, you know, was able to pick up some loose rebounds on the offensive end, and he had some pretty bad closeouts. You know, when he's able to get switched onto guards outside, you're in trouble. And I just think that you can't. This team's kind of thin again. You know, last year it seemed like we had some depth problem. I'm seeing that again here, especially at the guard play. I don't think Hawkins. I mentioned this in the preview show, but I just don't think he's been necessarily what you expected. You were kind of thinking he can still kind of create off the dribble shum, but he doesn't have much of a jump shot that we've seen yet. I think that teams are going to be able to play that and kind of help off on that, and especially on the top end and Darion Williams. And I don't know if it's physicality. I just noticed it during this game that UCF's guards seem to be doing what they wanted at will, and especially in the first half. Yes, they hit some tough shots, but they also were just able to kind of create whatever they wanted on the offensive side of the ball. And I think that's concerning, because this isn't the best offensive team you're going to face in the Big 12.
Oh yeah, not even close. I mean, this is not. And to their credit, you know, Darius Johnson.
Johnson.
I'm surprised he stayed at UCF. That kind of shocked me. He's a really good bona fide player that will probably push for all Big 12 honors. Probably not first team, but he'll get some looks there. He's a good player. You remember him last year. Man, the thing to me, it's something that we talked about at the beginning of the year, the point of attack defense. You know, as much as we ragged on Joe last year, he was a good point of attack defender. And the thing with Hawkins, I actually thought this was one of the better Hawkins games that you've gotten against like good competition. I just feel like there's a hesitancy from our guards to attack the paint consistently. And that's frustrating, because when you go cold from outside or you can't get outside looks, you then settle for contested mid-range jumpers, or it's the bailout, like feed it to top and down low, please go save us. And I thought you got into some good sets. McCaslin's still a great coach. I have zero doubt of that. I know some people will criticize, you know, not using a timeout there at the last second or in the last play. I think, you know, ideally what he was thinking is, hey, if we can get down there and get a good look, let's just take it. Let's not take a timeout. I doubt he wanted a chance to take that shot. You still had 10 seconds to pull that out and get something. But, you know, he looks like a genius if that shot goes in. So I get it. It is what it is. I don't know. This team's just got a lot of interesting things defensively. I thought they changed some stuff up. UCF couldn't get to the rim nearly as well in the second half. You know, kind of, I guess the last 10 minutes of the second half. He switched something with Toppin where he was saying, I mean, you need to go attack these, you know, paint touches and go block these shots. Unfortunately, you kept getting called for fouls. And I do think we need to talk about the refs. I thought it was a very poor officiated game. And I'm not even going to say it was one-sided. The and one on Chance McMillan, where I don't think anybody even touched him, and we got the call. But the blocking call, the lack of the offensive foul calls, I thought there were two instances where Keyshawn Hall got Kevin Overton right under the chin. And then some of the hooks that they weren't calling, it was just poorly officiated all around. Not a good showing from them. What can you do though?
I don't necessarily think it's the reason you lost the game, but it definitely swung the game. And I would think their shooting is the reason you ended up losing. You go down 18. That's not necessarily because of the refs, but there were some unfortunate calls. It's happening across college basketball, though. I mean, this is kind of becoming a problem. I don't know if dudes just don't want to, you know, quality guys just don't want to ref anymore. But Clayton, it seems like Big 12 refs in particular are having a really rough start to the season.
Yeah, same as last year. I mean, it's just so annoying because it's not like they're it's not like they're bad where they'll call everything too tight or everything too loose. It's like you
Yeah.
have to guess possession
Mhm.
to possession if they're going to call this tight, this loose. I mean, the 3-point foul on Christian Anderson was
Oh, I know.
terrible. He kicked his leg out, and then 3 plays later or whatever, he does the same thing and he gets called for an offensive foul. So like same play goes 2 different ways. A lot of the stuff in the paint where like, the offensive player would initiate the contact with the body, and then the defensive player, of course, has to body them up, and they call the foul on the defense. That's just also annoying and frustrating. Zyler mentioned like the trying to get post position on Overton. I think it happened twice where they'll just, put their forearm in his neck, and then he'll get called for the foul. Like,
Mhm.
it's just bad all around. It's not consistent. It's not like you can prepare for it. Like, oh, these refs are going to call it tight, so watch what you do. You have to literally predict how they're going to call it from possession to possession.
Man, that seems to be a consistent theme. Bad officiating in the Big 12 in football and basketball. What's going on in the Big 12 that makes that happen, guys? Do we think they're not getting paid enough? Do you think some schools are paying them more than others? What do we think the reason is for the bad refereeing all the way around?
It is Greg Sankey, domestic terrorist #1. He is out to ruin my college basketball experience. I know Greg. Follow the money. It all leads back to Greg Sankey.
The refs follow. Greg paid him. He stole all the good refs. They went with Texas and OU to the SEC, right?
Exactly right.
Well, and to tack on to the shooting performance a little bit. I mean, we did shoot 18% from 3. So when you do that, you're not going to make any waves. You're not going to make any movement happen. And so if you're going to win in the Big 12, you need to shoot better than 18, almost 19% from 3. So that's kind of Captain Obvious there, but I think that's worth pointing out and worth mentioning because we just did not shoot the ball well. I mean, I don't think Darion had to have one of his worst games of the year. He was 5 of 16 from the field today. He did not play well at all. I know he'll bounce back. He's obviously a fantastic player, but those two things, Darion not playing well and then shooting almost 19% from 3, those two factors are going to play a big deal for you and why you lost this game.
And credit to UCF. I thought their defense on chance and on 3-pointers in general was pretty good. It wasn't like you were just missing looks. Like there were some open looks that you missed, but they really didn't give you a ton of opportunities.
Yeah.
I was frustrated that we didn't do more with Toppin in the paint kickouts. I thought, you had that one really good possession that he kicked out to Overton in the first half, and that's perfect. Where it's one guy guarding 2, and it's Overton and somebody else in the corner. You just take your pick. I was frustrated we didn't really get into more of that, but I mean, what can you do? I thought UCF played well. That's sometimes you got to tip your cap there too.
Yeah, in the second half, it felt like it was a lot of let's clear out, get Toppin on the block, let him go to work. One thing I do like, and I think it'll work if Darion becomes a little more efficient as the season goes on, is the high-low with him and Toppin, or even I saw they kind of move Overton into that spot a little bit too to kind of look for the quick little dump down, and I think that can be highly effective. Darion is also a very good, when he has a smaller guard on him, because he is kind of that Sean Marion type hybrid, small forward, point forward. When he has a smaller guard on him, he can get to the block and finish well. He just hasn't been finishing this year. Like, it's been weird. I mean, the St. Joe's game, he had a couple bunnies that he missed. And, this game, he had a couple bunnies that he missed. He's been struggling from 3, in the last couple of games. So you get him in a high-low situation. That is going to be very effective, especially with Chance McMillan and his ability to shoot the ball and how he has shot the ball so far this year. But for me, again, I'm always going to look at the guards. Being a little boy myself, I'm going to see that, and I just know that in this conference, you need effective guard play to make noise. It worries me at the guard position right now, and I'm specifically talking point guard with Anderson and Hawkins. I'm just not necessarily loving what I'm seeing out of those guys, though. I think Hawkins, to your point, Z, I'd like them to get in the paint more and be more aggressive. I think the more that teams know these guys aren't really looking for their shot, it's going to be easier to defend. If everyone knows that they're looking to get the ball to Darion, Chance coming off of a pin down screen or Toppin, it's going to make your offense a little less effective. Now, you did put up 83 points this game, and that was with Darion and Chance pretty much being non-existent for a majority of the game. But I still think if you're going to make noise, win 12, 13 plus games in this conference, you need Hawkins and Anderson to play better.
Yep.
Clay.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, looking at Elijah and then Christian. Elijah scored 11 points, and then Christian had 2 points. So, I mean, you need more out of that spot to be able to contend the way you want to in this conference. And I don't know. I mean, Christian's looked good at points this year, and I don't know necessarily why he didn't maybe play as well today. But again, it's only the first game of Big 12 play, so I want to take a page out of Zyler's playbook and maybe not overreact, but at the same time, you have to be concerned with what you saw against a team that I think all of us expected us to beat in Lubbock too.
You were 14-point favorites. It's so hard to win on the road. You can't be giving these up, and you don't have anything on your tournament resume right now. Your best win is a home win against DePaul, which is barely holding on to Q2 status. So, I mean, you're going to have to be plus 500 in the Big 12, I think, to make the tournament, and that's like as a 7 or an 8 seed. I don't think you need to be rooting for a lot of these ACC teams that are terrible to pick off some of these bubble teams. And it's, man, the one saving grace is UCF beating you here is going to move that into a quad 2 game. So this isn't necessarily a huge blemish on your resume right now. Now, if they move back into quad 3, it looks really bad. That's been one of the nice things that you've managed to do in previous seasons is avoid all Q3 and Q4 losses. You're going to need UCF to play well to stay, in that Q2 range.
Now, Clay, to be fair, I mean, the Big 12 is so difficult. I mean, Kansas lost to West Virginia at home. So you can afford, that's the luxury of basketball, is you can afford to drop a game. It's not like football where you lose to TCU and, there goes your opportunity to make some noise in the season. I mean, you still have 19 games in front of you, and every game is important in the Big 12, and there's a lot of good teams, and the depth is there. So, looking at the schedule, looking ahead, if you had to kind of put a record on what you need, Zyler said plus 500 to be a 7 seed or less, or what is it 12-8? Is it 13-7? Like, where do you think we have to go the rest of the way to kind of solidify your tournament position?
I think to be 7 seed or lower, you'd probably have to win 12 games, in my opinion. I think if we go 11-9, we'll be in the tournament, but we have nothing on our non-conference. I don't think you can go 11-9 and be better than like a 9 seed. Yeah. So with the one loss, we're looking at 11-8, I guess, the rest of the way to get in, and then anything better than that, hopefully get a better seed. But it's going to be tough. I mean, the good news is, like y'all said, like every game in the Big 12 virtually is a Q1 game, if not Q2. So you'll have 14 or 15 games.
You would not, if the tournament started today, you would not be in. So you're going to have to play your way into the tournament. And every SEC team right now, every game that they play outside of South Carolina at home is going to be Q1 or Q2. They're going to get 12 to 13 teams in the tournament. So that's going to eat up of the 36 at large, or I guess, what is it? 30. How many is it? So there's 68 teams that make the field, 36, I forget what it is, 38 at larges, I can't remember. But yeah, I mean, they're going to eat up probably a third of those. And then you've got Big 12, the Big 10 is going to get 8 to 9 teams. So you got to find your spot, and that starts with winning games. So big week for you.
Z, are you telling me that Greg Sankey has taken over the basketball space too? Is that really what's going on this year?
Oh yeah, they're going to absolutely have. They have the best team in the country, and they have the best conference in the country this year. It sucks to say, but it's one of the best conferences of all time.
Okay, let's play a little game then. So we said 12 wins. We're going to go ahead and do this as a unit, as a Broadway Shuffle unit. Okay, so you lose to UCF at home, you're 0-1, which means you got to pick off. You got to go 12-7 your next 19. You've got the Mormon swing here this next weekend into next week at Utah and at BYU. Are both of those wins?
I'm going to say no, but you can rescue this loss if you go 2-0.
Oh yeah, you go
yeah.
Okay, so we're saying we're 1-2 out of the Mormon swing.
Well, Brendan, just a quick football question. Do you think the basketball team may say hi to your friend Cam Rising for you?
I hope so. I hope they check out whatever hospital he's, posted up in getting his 12th knee surgery. That'd be great if they want to stop and say hi to Cam and whatever injury he's got going on this week. I don't know if he's still there, but if they want to stop in on Saturday morning and to the University of Utah Health System, that'd be great. So, okay, we're going to say 1-2 to be safe out of those games. Then you get versus Iowa State on the 11th at 1:00. They're ranked 3rd in the country. On ESPN. Is that a win at home?
No.
Dude.
All right. So we're looking at 1-3 in the face.
Because classes don't even start on the 11th. Will students be back at that point?
I think so.
Okay. They'll come. I guess they'll come back for that game.
They'd start that next week.
Just so to look at KenPom lines, you're favored to win at Utah by 2. You're the projection is BYU by 1 over you on the road, and then Iowa State by 1 over you at home. So your next 4 games have a combined spread of 4 points. So a bunch of 50-50 toss-ups right now.
Yeah, and 3 of your next 4 on the road. The next game after Iowa State is at Kansas State. So let's say those 4 toss-ups, you want to say 2-2 to be kind?
I mean, I would take 2-2. This is why you needed to win today so
Yeah, this
bad.
is why this was a big deal. I mean, you're looking at the schedule when you're going, all right, 3 of your next 4 on the road, you get a top 5 team. Is that home game? So we'll say we're 2-3 going into Arizona at home. I think that's a win. We'll be there. We'll be in attendance. So
We'll be the good luck charm.
Must win a good luck charm. So we'll say we're 3-3 at Cincinnati is your next game.
It's probably a loss.
It's probably a loss.
They're
3-4.
so physical.
Okay,
Yeah.
3-4. This is the stretch right here. You have to win these 2 games versus Oklahoma State on Sunday, and then at home against TCU again on Wednesday. Let's say those are 2 wins. You have to win those games. You're 5 now. You're looking at 5-4. So you're kind of teetering. Like you got to find wins. Your next 2 games after that are at Houston and versus Baylor.
You can beat Baylor at home.
Houston is going to pound you into the ground. They are going to rush a team like
All right. So we're looking
Baylor's defense is worse than ours, though. So
okay. So we're looking at
that as a dub.
All right. So we're looking at 6-5 as we've entered into February. Again, we're doing this to kind of share here's what you got to expect. We're looking at that 11-12 win mark, and we're slowly running out of games to get it done at 6-5.
And this is how we feel right now. This could change. So we're recording
this is
New Year's
one game
Eve.
in. This is us overreacting to a loss against Central Florida, but we're playing the game just for our viewers and listeners to kind of get an idea of what you have to do in this conference. Then you go at Arizona. 6-5 in conference at Arizona.
I'd be surprised if we swept Arizona.
We sweep Arizona.
Really?
Okay. Z.
The
Okay.
optimism is back.
So because of Z's optimism, we're gonna go 7-5. But
Let's go.
then you get versus Arizona State at home.
Dude, Arizona State's better than people think, but we should beat them still.
Yes.
Okay, 8-5. So now you've kind of swung in your favor a little bit. 8-5 in the conference at Oklahoma State. That's a must win. That's a win.
I think you win that.
This is another stretch that the Arizona State, OSU, and then TCU again. That's another stretch that you gotta.
Okay, so let's say you take care of business those 3 games. You're looking at 9-5 now. So this is looking pretty good with 2 home games back to back Saturday and Monday, the 22nd of February and the 24th, versus West Virginia, who beat Kansas on the road, and then versus Houston.
Let's call it 1-1.
Yeah, 1-1's a good. Yeah.
Z?
I think you're way more likely to be West Virginia than you are Houston.
He doesn't look too confident.
Dude, Houston is really, really good this year. I don't think you beat Houston.
What about West Virginia?
I don't know, dude. West Virginia is sneakily kind of good. They're top 50 in KenPom now, and those are going to be really tough games. I think you'll go 1-1, but it has to be the West Virginia game as a win.
Okay, so you're looking at 1-1. That puts you at 10-7. Is that correct?
10-6, I think.
We were
Am I wrong?
9-5, yeah.
9-5.
Yeah, 10-6.
10-6 with 3 games to go. No, that'd be 10-7.
We've lost count.
That'd be 10-7.
Yeah, 10-7.
With 3 games
Sorry,
left,
I can't
you go
add.
March 1st, you're at Kansas.
Loss.
That's 10-8. Versus Colorado at home. That's a must win then. March 5th.
Yeah.
Win.
That's 11-8. At Arizona State.
At 9:30 p.m.
I just
Central.
do not trust Bobby Hurley to keep a team together.
Okay. So in that scenario, you're 12-8.
I'll take it right now.
You
If
take
you could
that.
give it to me right now, I would take it.
You take 12-8 right now, Clayton?
Yeah, I would take it right now.
Okay. And you're in the tournament. You're solidified in the tournament, probably 8 or better at 12-8 in the Big 12.
Depends on what happens around the country, but yeah, you're probably like an 8 seed.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll take that. So the question then asking is that kind of your ceiling? Like, is there a scenario where you see 15-5 in conference?
15-5 is a little stretch probably, but I don't think 12-8 is your ceiling. I think
You can go 14.
I think 14-6. Yeah, that's probably your ceiling.
Okay. So
if you had won today, 15-5, I think would have been attainable. But just losing to UCF at home, I just think that
It's a brutal loss.
I'm not concerned. I mean, I believe in Grant and this coaching staff. I think we've got a good group there leading your program, but at the same time, these games just mean so much. Obviously, it's different than football, but losing at home against a team that you should have beaten, like UCF, I just hope that doesn't put a damper on the way this team is thinking about this year, because that loss, I mean, that's going to hurt you and hurt that maybe the psyche a little bit, but I think that we'll be fine. But again, it's just, I know it's fresh, but it's difficult right now thinking about, okay, where could you be after losing to UCF like this?
Dude, the thing that's frustrating to me right now is your defense is actually, nobody's going to want to hear this, but 2-point percentage, which I think is the best metric for a defense, is 18th in the country. That's really good. Your block percentage is 9.3, and that's fine. Your steal percentage is at 12%. That's way better than what I thought it was. Your non-steal turnover percentage, that's top 100 in the country. The thing that's killing you right now is your 3-point percent defense is at 242nd in the country at 35%. That's the only thing on your defensive team sheet that's like in the red. So if that just gets fixed, and I think that'll swing a little bit your way, you should be able to get some wins. You just need that to swing eventually. You need that to swing like next week, not like in late February. So
yeah. I also think we miscounted. I just went through. I think what we just predicted was 13 wins.
Okay, so we predicted 13 and 7.
If we counted at Arizona as a win.
I lost track there around like game 15. I apologize. It was a lot to keep track of in a quick amount of time, but
no worries.
Okay, so 13 and 7. That's pretty good. I mean, that's I think if you go 13 and 7 in the Big 12, you're a 7 seed or better.
I think you'd be like a 6.
Yeah. I think you're in that 6-7 range if you get to 13 Big 12 wins, and it's possible. This is the beautiful thing about basketball is there's another game quickly, especially in the Big 12, and you can get on a run like that. I think momentum in basketball. We were talking about this is a real thing. I mean, you felt it during this game. You know, you felt the 2 alley-oops, the stops. Like UCF kind of got a little frazzled there. You can get on runs in basketball, carry that game to game, and reel off 4, 5, 6 wins in a row. And feel really good about your season all of a sudden. We just hope it happens in Utah. Because if you go 2-0 in Utah, and then you do come back and beat a top 5 team in the country at home, all of a sudden we're looking at, your resume looks pretty good. You know, you're all of a sudden you're like, hey, there you go, 12-3 and 3-1 in conference with a top 5 win. So
and Iowa State struggled with Colorado today too.
So it's possible. In this conference, you really don't know. I mean, we all thought Kansas State was done and they get a win, and so they beat Cincinnati, who's a good physical team, top 20 in the country. So there's always an opportunity in the Big 12, which makes it exciting, but it also could make it a little scary if you choose to look that way as well. So, well, we will be back in action for basketball on Saturday against is that BYU first? I just even lost track of what games
Utah.
Next.
It's Utah
first. Okay. Utah first at 6:00 and then BYU on Tuesday at 8 for the Red Raider basketball team. So, okay, let's shift our attention to the transfer portal. College football playoff is still going on. We're not going to give any predictions or anything on this show because we will be recording it before the games, but you will be listening to this knowing the results of the game. So we'll be back to kind of look over some of what happened next week in that. But there were some rumors coming out that you might not be done in the transfer portal. Already been a great couple of weeks for you. But there might be some guys that are still playing, specifically potential receivers that are still playing that might be checking your school out. Don't know how legal that is on how we already know that, but there's no rules in the Wild West of college athletics these days. Any inkling, any preference? I mean, if Jeremiah Smith isn't very happy at Ohio State, I'd love for him to come on to Lubbock. Is there anybody? Jeremiah Smith, welcome to Lubbock. Could you imagine like sending Micah out and then
replacing him with Isaiah Bond?
Isaiah Bond or Jeremiah Smith. Is there any inkling at all, guys, on who that could be? If you had to guess what team they're on, Z, maybe I'll go there. What team do you think that receiver might, or maybe a defensive edge? I don't know. I'm hearing some stuff, but you got any guess on what team that player might be on?
The funniest outcome is that it's a player from Texas, and they have so many young receivers on that roster. There's probably going to be some guys that want to look elsewhere. Like they have so many true sophomores. Like they have like 4 that are really good. I don't think there's not enough. There's only one football. And when Level kind of talked about this and said, you know, they're interested in a wide receiver and there's somebody that's reciprocated that, like, I don't know. I just hope it's not like a Boise State backup wide receiver that's got like 6 catches on the year. We're all like,
oh, but this guy could be really good.
yeah. Which the way that you spend the portal, I don't expect it to be that, but I don't know, man. There's so many. It could be anybody. I mean, maybe there's a guy on Oregon or Penn State that's unhappy with their. I don't know. The dream is obviously like Jeremiah Smith, but that's obviously not going to happen. But can you imagine?
I hear Jeremiah Smith's dad just got a job at Double Eagle.
Yeah.
He's CFO now.
He's a CFO of Double Eagle all of a sudden. Yeah.
What I don't know, and I'd be interested to know if you guys have any inklings on this, is it a proven talent or is it just a guy on the roster? Because I mean, I guess that's exciting, but like Zyler said, if it's a backup receiver at Arizona State or Boise State or wherever, I mean, no offense to that individual, and I know you're listening to the podcast, so make sure you subscribe. That doesn't really excite me a whole lot. Just because you're on a college football playoff team doesn't necessarily mean you're any good. Is that fair to say, or is that an overreaction?
Before we answer that, Conrad, are you saying that instead of Jeremiah Smith watching game film for Oregon, he's listening to Broadway Shuffle on YouTube? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, Jeremiah. We know he's a big Red Raider fan, so he probably doesn't even know where Lubbock, Texas is, if we're being honest. But I don't know. Maybe he's watching, listening to us talk, and we are an entertaining show, right? So make sure you subscribe to get all your Broadway Shuffle information and shows live time as they happen.
Fair. Okay. Sorry. What was your question? Do you say do we think it's a star?
Like, do we know if it's proven?
No, is it proven? Didn't say anything. He just said like wide receiver on a current CFP team. Like there's nothing.
No, I'm saying. Okay.
No,
Well,
the answer is no.
Didn't know if we had any other sources.
Can't you already see it being some dude we've never heard of, and then like there's one play of him running like by a defensive end for I don't know, the University of Idaho, and we're like, oh, this guy's a freaking stud.
Dude, my thought is, if we're gonna tamper, which I mean, I guess we are doing, it's got to be somebody like either talented that hasn't proven it on the field or has proven it on the field already. We're not gonna do that for like the third string Penn State slot receiver.
That's fair.
You're exactly right.
Is it tampering? Yeah. Like, is that even a thing now in college football? I just feel like you can do whatever you want.
The way it's set up, it's like you just cannot communicate with the student athlete directly, but it's like you can just talk to his agent.
So that NIL, which by the way, NIL agents aren't even a thing. Like if we wanted to become 4 NIL agents, we could do it right now. There's no qualification to being an NIL agent. It's such a joke.
It is
to all you.
So,
Clayton's actually representing Micah Hudson.
It's such a wild world. It's legitimately like the general manager position that's been created in the last 2 years, dealing with NIL agents who have been created in the last 2 years, like bickering over like 20-year-old talent. Like, such a wild system. Like those meetings have to be so insane.
Oh, dude, you would think if you're an actual sophisticated human being and you were facing a guy like, I don't know, me, and I'm like, here's my player, you know, he's 19 years old from Plano, Texas. I'd be like, give me a break, kid. Yeah. Like, and that's who some of these guys are negotiating with, like kids our age or even younger. It's not necessarily a parent or a lawyer like you would have in the NFL. It could be a senior in the Rawls College of Business negotiating an NIL deal for a football player. It's
one
wild.
of the funniest things you can do on Twitter is when you see like this player was represented by Arm & Hammer Sports, just click on it and then look at the people that run it. And it's like almost always 27-year-olds. Like the guys that didn't get into Goosehead and that can't cut it in real estate, they just haven't become NIL agent. Like
if you can't get into Goosehead, you've got a problem.
And nothing against it. I've got guys that I love hanging out with that work there. That's just the first thing that came to my mind. Like,
and the reality is they poach Texas Tech talent. It's just a thing.
Yeah.
The insurance company, at least.
But the problem with it all is a lot of these NIL agents are not actually looking out for the best interest of the kid. They're just looking out for how much money can they get off the deal, and they're going to try and sway them because young people are impressionable, just like all of our listeners who listen to the Broadway Shuffle, and they want to make money. And what'd you say?
Isn't our largest age demo like an older group?
Maybe it's like 25 to 34. I can't remember. Hey, comment your
no.
age below.
No,
Let
dude.
us know how old you are in the
I think our
comments.
demos on YouTube. I mean, if we want our public to know, if you're listening out there, I think our biggest listener is like 50 plus. I think.
Is it really?
I think that's what it is
Yeah.
on YouTube.
Hey, it was our section on Cougars that really got everybody hooked.
Yeah.
It was the
Cougar
Cougar
juice.
juice. The week 2 Cougar juice really added people in, man. It was a great Kool-Aid flavor. We got to whip some. We got to double down. You probably still got some. You were buying into that.
I had
stuff.
too much Cougar juice. That's why I have to record here. It's all in my studio.
Oh man. But you know, one
is.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead,
Conrad,
Brennan.
I was going to say one name I'd like to see because he seems to be willing to transfer. And I don't know if he's going to the league or not, but I think Isaiah Bond would be a guy that I'd love to see, like kind of that type of position player. I mean, I know we've mentioned Tyson from Arizona State, if that'd be possible. If we're like looking at talent that has been productive for teams in the playoff, especially within, your own region per se, or own conference in Arizona State's case. I feel like you'd have to me an Arizona State receiver sounds like the most, I don't know, like, guy that you'd have come in because of familiarity with them. And like, you'd already kind of know who that guy is. So and he might be injured, but still, I don't know, like a Tyson kind of sounds a little sexy to me. Like he's injured, they're still in, he can't maybe leave yet. He wants the playoff to be in. That's a name I wouldn't be shocked if it was him. And he's good. He's good.
His brother was Jalen Tyson, right?
I was wondering that. Are they?
They're brothers. Yeah.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. I thought they looked similar, so I looked it up.
Maybe.
And yeah, they are brothers.
Well, maybe not then. Mark Adams might have ruined that for you.
Okay, so I just pulled up the Texas depth
No
chart.
slavery Bible verses for Joey.
Dude, I wish we would have had a podcast when that was happening. That would have been so funny.
Talk about the subscriber opportunity there,
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Okay, so these are the Texas receivers that all have eligibility next year. So you have Matthew Golden still has another year. He's a 4-star. DeAndre Moore is a sophomore. Isaiah Bond is a junior. Ryan Wingo, true freshman. Silas Bolden is a junior. Parker Livingstone is a 4-star freshman. Ryan Niblett, redshirt freshman. Those are all, they've got 7-ish guys that could all come back. That's why I think it'll be somebody from Texas, just because they need to not necessarily process, but those guys are going to want to play. And they're good enough to play. And so that's why I think it'll be somebody from there.
And
it won't be
those
Wingo,
are likely
I'll
all
say
guys. Yeah, it's not going to be Wingo. But those are all guys that McGuire's probably recruited in the past as well.
That's a good point.
And I wonder if, I don't think there would be a relationship there, because I think Matthew Golden transferred before Wood got there, but I don't even think, defensive coordinator relationship with a wide receiver, I don't really think that would help you much. So I don't think that has anything to do with it. But that would be
all about the dollar sign.
I think overall, in the last 10 minutes, by the way, we've said some things that aren't necessarily true. Like Jeremiah Smith's dad isn't actually working at Double Eagle. If you think that, I'm not confirming any of this. If you are taking us seriously, but I do think that this is a great sign. The fact that it's like, hey, I don't know if we're solidified in this position yet. Let's still be aggressive in the portal. Like we're still. Yeah. We aren't done. We aren't finished yet. And I think that's a great testament to Joey and the Matador Club and all these people that are like, I still don't think that we're completely 100% where we need to be. Let's get there. It's not, let's go in and see if a Kelby, though they're good, though, you might be good with like some of your young receivers, like we saw Kelby in the bowl game and these types of guys. But, we want to, even though you got Reggie Virgil coming in and some of these guys, we still feel like we need to add some depth here. I think that's great. If these rumors are true, that you're willing to go all in and pretty much check every box heading into the spring.
The other thing that's been surprising to me is you haven't seen any portal entrance since your bowl game ended. I would have thought, I know Harvey Dyson entered kind of a couple days before the bowl game, but you haven't seen, I would have thought some of the younger guys, and maybe that's going to happen in the spring, like you're over the roster count, but that's surprising to me. I wonder what sort of packages maybe the players got that are keeping them here through the spring. I'm happy with that, man. I'm happy a guy like Jordan Sanford didn't enter the portal, or BJ Jordan, or, hopefully Chapman Lewis is fine. I know he didn't come back in the game. You need that injury to not be serious. If it is serious, I think you probably need to go get another safety in the portal. But that's been encouraging to me. I thought you would see after the bowl game like 6 or 7 guys entered. That was my expectation.
Yeah, you're definitely adding more than you're subtracting at this point, which is great. But as you mentioned, that can change in the spring. Conrad?
Well, that's what I was actually going to follow Zyler's train of thought there. That's going to be so interesting to see who does not have a spot in the fall, right? I mean, I think they're going to be not necessarily position battles to start. I think we know who a lot of those guys are. I mean, you're going to have battles there and people are going to be vying for positions, but you're also going to have position battles at the bottom end of the roster too. Who even gets to stay on the team because of the roster limits that are imposed and that are going to play a big factor in who you have on your squad next year. And so those will be, I mean, maybe not as exciting for the average fan to watch, but I do think that's something to consider because when you have injuries, and you will, as we know, you always have injuries, you want to make sure that those guys you have on the bottom of the roster that are going to step up into those roles sometimes are able to fill them the way you'd like to see. Obviously, you're probably not going to get a 6-string quarterback on the field, although if there is any place that you're going to have that happen, it'll happen at Texas Tech. But if you need, depth like you had this year on the edge, you had some walk-ons playing. You just want to make sure you've got guys that you feel comfortable with at under extenuating circumstances being on the field. And so I think that'll be an interesting thing to see. But then again, you may also have some guys that are at some pretty big programs that find out at the end of the spring, hey, you don't have a spot here, but we could use them, or maybe they just choose to enter the portal because they're not going to play. And so I think that'd be really interesting to see how that's going to work itself out.
Yeah, Clay, final thing for you. These Zyler just mentioned something that I found interesting. He mentioned these packages. Like, I don't know what package you're bringing them or giving to the players. So I kind of brought up a question. Do you feel like these things with regards to what we're seeing in some of these bowl games, like your package is, hey, you've got to play like all 13 games? Like, do you think it's like, if you make a bowl game, I'm assuming, or multiple, do you think these NIL packages are like, now that we're going to see our team favor, like, that it's actually helping the team more than the player? Do you have any insight on that, or what? I mean, just opinions on how those contracts should look?
Dude, I have genuinely no clue. Are you saying that like from injury or from opt out? Like
opt out. Like if you're Lee Hunter, or you're Reggie Virgil, or it's like, hey, come play here. Here's the money, but you're committed here until their season's over. Because we're seeing that in bowl games. I just wonder if that's changing with it. Kind of when Zyler mentioned like what package you're giving them, I'm like, I wonder if that's part of the new package that you have to be committed to the team. If we're paying you, I don't know, like $1 million.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a good idea for the school, but I don't know like how that's enforced or if that's even allowed under the rules. Like, I don't know how that works.
Because then what were you about to say? If you tie it into a bowl game, what happens if you say, your contract runs through the bowl game and then you don't make a bowl game? Or like, there's a lot of truly, I know me and Conrad were talking about this, and I think there's reasonable takes on both sides. I don't care about the non-playoff bowl games. Like, if I was a player, what am I? I love competing throughout the end of the season. Go play for a Big 12 championship, finish the regular season, like finish what you signed up for, the postseason exhibitions. If you've got a professional career that you're looking out for, I think about CJ. If Fernando Carmona ends his opportunity at a professional career because he decided to play in a halfway constructed stadium in Memphis, Tennessee against a 6-6 Arkansas team, like, is he going to look back and be like, yeah, that was totally worth it? Like, I get why guys opt out. It doesn't bother me. It's fun. It's a fun way to let the young guys get some reps, kind of celebrate the season, but not that just, it doesn't bother me. But I know I may not be, I think there's reasonable takes on the other side too, and I'm not married to that take.
Conrad.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of different opinions on that. I just don't know. Like, I don't see, if we don't care about them, just why play them was kind of my thought. And why do you play them? There's one reason you play them: money. Like, that's why you play them for that reason, and basically that reason alone, because they, like Zyler said, they don't matter. They're not gonna make or break your season. You're not gonna love it or hate it if you lose. I mean, sure, you want to win. I think that's the goal. I'm bummed we lost to Arkansas, but it's not, it doesn't hurt nearly as bad as a Big 12 loss. But at the same time, I mean, it's just, what's the point then in even playing them? I mean, I haven't watched a single bowl game outside of, except for Texas Tech versus Arkansas, and I probably won't watch one except for the playoff. And so, I mean, I just don't see there's not a perfect solution to it, but I do miss kind of the days where, everybody was playing and you did actually care about it. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but the first opt out who was the first opt out? Was it like Leonard Fournette or something like that?
I think it was it McCaffrey?
Because it just didn't happen. Was it
Was it
McCaffrey or
Fournette? He
Fournette or something
played
like that?
Fournette played against us.
in his last. Yeah, that was his
Fournette
last.
played
Never
against
mind.
us.
Sorry, it
Texas
wasn't
Bowl.
Then it was
I think
McCaffrey.
it was
McCaffrey. Wasn't it McCaffrey?
Yeah.
He
played in the
that makes sense though, because he always gets hurt. So like,
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
was he the first opt out? Because it used to be that everyone always played, and I just kind of, now we were really young when that happened, but I just kind of missed that when you actually got to watch like teams that mattered play.
Yeah, I'm not sure who was your first one, but sorry.
When Jalen Smith tore his knee up for Notre Dame.
Yes,
that was when it all started turning.
But that was against Ohio State, right?
I don't think that was a playoff game.
No, I think you're right. It wasn't a playoff game, but it was still Notre Dame, Ohio State back then. Like that was, Meyer was the coach. I think Kelly was obviously there at Notre Dame. That was a big game. I don't know if we have anybody looking that up right now, but yeah, I don't know. It's just, if you're going to watch a game, I want it to be the team at full strength, but I see why guys wouldn't play. Like I'm not faulting them for that.
It's the thing. It's like, I watch the spring games because I love watching what the future is going to look like. That's how I view the bowl games. It's like, what do we have coming up in the pipe? Don't really view this as an indictment on your 2024 team or what your 25 team will look like. Let's see what the young talent looks like against a team that's not yourself. It kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to make Big 12 predictions because Iowa State beat Miami when they subbed Cam. It's not predictive. Like a lot of these guys are going to be leaving. So Conrad, to kind of maybe push back or disagree, I think the bowls are a ton of fun because of that. You get to see something that's really new. They're always usually chaotic. Like the Pop-Tarts Bowl is awesome. Like I watch that every year because it's so fun. Like the festivities around it are awesome. There's just a lot of really unique stuff that happens in bowl games that I think are a lot of fun. I hope that bowl games don't get diminished because of that, and I think they will. But they're still fun. You don't have to be at full strength for the bowl games to be a fun watch. And maybe that's just because I'm addicted to watching collegiate sports. But I guess that's kind of counterintuitive, though. It's like I don't care about the bowl games, but I still like to watch them.
It means everything if you win, Z. It means everything if you win. Yeah,
you're exactly right.
Yeah.
Conrad, I know we're running. Or go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, Zyler, you're totally right. There's just so many different angles to come at it from, and I think all of them have viable reasons for why people, believe what they believe. But it'd be fun to talk about why it's fun. I would love to just watch, it'd be really cool to watch. I don't think Jackson Dart's playing for Ole Miss in their bowl game, but I really like to watch him play one more time. And the only reason Nussmeier's playing for LSU is because he's coming back next year. And so they're fun to watch, but they also, it'd be kind of fun to see those guys, some like Dart play one more time. So again, I see it. You can make different arguments either way. I'm not gonna fault anyone for it. It just, I would prefer the teams to be at full strength, but again, that's just my opinion.
Well, hey, and you're welcome to that opinion on the Broadway Shuffle, Conrad. You're always entitled to your opinion, and so are the rest of you listening on YouTube. We would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. We try to respond to as many as we can, unless they're just too negative, then we'll take the PR hit, let you guys voice your concerns. You're entitled to it, but if it's fair or if it's positive, we try to get back to all of you in the comments. So we appreciate you checking out the show and giving us your thoughts and opinions as well. To do that, you have to like this video and subscribe to the channel, though. So do that. Look forward to all of our content. That was a great conversation. We'll do a whole episode. I think we have one coming up here probably in the off season, but how to fix college sports. And I'm sure bowl games will be a part of that. NIL packages, kids, transfers, tampering, everything we discussed there in that last segment, we'll dedicate to a full episode. It'll be a lot of fun, and that will go ahead, Conrad. Sorry.
No, the biggest piece
we're
going to
solve the world here.
Yes, Greg Sankey will take a retirement package and go to the Caymans and never touch the sport again.
Yes, if Greg Sankey happens to disappear, your friend,
don't call my number.
Don't. If Greg Sankey disappears, don't look at Zyler Buchanan as a person of interest. Like I'm not totally sure, but nonetheless,
with Tupac and Hitler,
Elvis.
Caymans.
Elvis.
Yeah, and Elvis.
They're all going to be in
Yeah,
the
it's
island.
gonna be
We are gonna solve college sports here on the Broadway Shuffle. So
Yes.
let your friends know. Keep an eye out for that episode because it's gonna be one you're not gonna want to miss.
Oh man, yeah, it'll be fun, and yeah, maybe we can.
Also, one thing, Brennan, I'll plug in. I know, Conrad, you got to go. We're running a long time. We're doing our end of year season rewards for the football team. We would love some unique categories. If you guys have ideas, we've got some really funny ones that I think we're pretty excited about. But if you've got ideas, comment those, man. We'd love to do recurring segments. I think we're going to have, maybe we'll do the Pillsbury Doughboy of the year. I don't know who would win that award.
I think we will. Conrad's favored to win, but you never know what the committee will decide. So
exactly right.
yeah, that's going to be next week as well. We're going to be with basketball season and the ever changing games and schedules. We'll be kind of hip hopping around a little bit on when we're releasing content. So expect a little more than just Mondays and Thursdays. Maybe we might have to drop one on Tuesday night or a Friday morning, depending on when the basketball schedule is. But we will be doing an episode on Monday, and we will also be providing the season awards show with the Broadway Shuffle. So yes, we would love to hear from you. If you have any thoughts or opinions on that, please share. We'll also be having some guests coming up this month as well that we're looking forward to talking with to let you guys know a little bit more about. And if there's anyone you want us to interview, we're always open to reaching out to anybody. Put that in the comment section as well. We'll see what we can do to get them on the show. So happy New Year, everyone. Thank you so much for your support of our show that we started here in 2024. We're looking forward to what the Broadway Shuffle has in store for 2025, especially with Texas Tech Athletics. And we love being on here. We have a ton of fun. We hope you guys do too. But have a happy New Year and good luck to everyone in 2025 and to the Red Raiders as well. And as they take on, hopefully, a Big 12 title and a March Madness run in March. So for Clayton, Conrad, and Zyler. Oh, by the way, we have nicknames now. Someone did comment on nicknames. Z, I think you're now Z Stats, apparently. We've got that. I saw, and someone called me the Brincaster, which was interesting. And then Clayton, I think yours was Echo. I don't know what that means, but
Nice.
we don't have to keep them, but someone commented them. So whoever commented that, shout out to you for giving us nicknames. Conrad, you're still the Pillsbury Doughboy. So you still same nickname for you. So for Echo Pillsbury and Z Stats, I'm the Brincaster. We'll see you guys next time on the Broadway Shuffle.
Happy New Year,
Shufflers.
Happy New Year.